Hello and welcome to the Hospitality Twins podcast. I'm Jerry Reyes.
And I'm Ramon Reyes. Tourism offers us an opportunity to visit new places and experience new and exciting attractions.
But it's the people within the hospitality industry that make these experiences unique and memorable.
We look forward to shedding light on the talented people who make the hospitality industry special.
And also to providing coaching and career tips to those seeking to join our industry.
Today we're joined by an energetic and passionate sales professional, Mrs. Ashleigh Narcelles. And I had the great pleasure of working with Ashleigh during her time within Omni Hotel at the Battery Atlanta. And just as many within our industry, they often do such a great job that they move on to bigger and better things. And following her time with the Omni, she moved on to a director of sales role with the Grand Hyatt Atlanta and Buckhead, and now does consulting work within our industry. She's a true hospitality professional, and we're delighted to have her on today. Thank you for being with us, Ashleigh. First and foremost, tell our listeners a little bit about how you got your start in hospitality and what has led to the extensive experience that you've had in the sales division.
For sure. So I guess really my passion for hospitality started at a really young age. I grew up on Cape Cod, so my first position in hospitality was in the restaurant industry, which is pretty much the best thing to do. I mean, if you want to learn about people and really show them an experience, it's through food. So I was fortunate to work in a family-owned restaurant for a few years there, and then kind of jumped right in to the hotel side while I was going to NYU for my master's degree in hospitality. So lived in New York for 13 years and started at leading hotels of the world in their corporate office, and then rolled into an on-property position with Lowe's, which I loved because, I was really able to make that difference on property in corporate sales, and really just found my passion really being a consultant for larger corporations to create these places for people to stay when they were traveling for business. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not surprised that, some of your experience growing in the industry, only because, I've had the opportunity, the good fortune of working with you. And, what stands out is that you're a true hospitality professional. It's interesting looking through some of the details and getting ready for the podcast. I had no idea that you had some of that sort of front of house experience, and to hear you speak about sort of that journey, it explains a lot, because just alongside your coworkers and certainly with guests, you've stood out as someone who truly cares about taking care of people. So definitely not surprised, and thank you for sharing a little bit about your track record there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Ashleigh, I was impressed looking through your experience, and I see that you have also had some experience as an adjunct professor for hospitality students aspiring to work within our industry. That is something that is near and dear to both Ramon and I. I'm also an adjunct professor at the University of New Orleans here in the hospitality program. And, I know that for me, it's about being able to give back to the people of our industry. So tell us a little bit regarding that experience and what motivated you to help educate others.
Absolutely. And I have to say that it was one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. I think they taught me probably more than I taught them, which I don't know what that says for the education. No, I'm just kidding. But it was unbelievable just because of the generational differences. I was able to, the classes were probably about 20 to 25 kids, or adults. They weren't kids. Some of them were far older than I was. So, but it was amazing to really be able to, show them and teach them and just watch them grow and develop into these hoteliers, which, I feel like there's a lot of things you can teach people, but to see the passion through these students it was amazing.
Well, and that's something that's so special, and I'm sure you felt the same. But one of the things that always strikes me is that when we're engaging with students as adjuncts, is that we're able to provide them a window into a day in the world of a hotelier, right? So for them to be able to get that that experience or see that experience through your eyes is something that's so special. So I commend you for doing it. It's definitely something that is rewarding. And to your point, we're able to see them build a career in hospitality. And again, as I mentioned, that's something that's very near and dear to both Ramon and I, as we always seek to develop folks within the hotel and then obviously outside the hotel as well. So I commend you for taking the time to do that.
I
Yeah,
love it.
awesome. Just thinking back to some of your journey as you kind of talk through how you, so to speak, grew up in the industry. It's interesting. Most of the folks that work within our industry have their own story in terms of how they've grown up and gone from position to position. So there's a great deal of internal growth. You've been fortunate to grow within our industry, specifically, within the sales division. As you think back to what has led to your success and your growth, what recommendations would you have for others aspiring to do the same?
I would say definitely try and look at all different aspects of hospitality. So when I started out, I was in the restaurant, and then my first position was in strategic planning. So it was really more so focused on the bigger picture, doing business plans, and really, I think for me it was really looking at holistically, like I said, the big picture. And something that I always was drawn to was the sales and marketing aspect of it, which obviously it's a huge part of our industry, of course. But you know, when it comes down to it, it's really it's the people that you have there. And for me, I just every time I did, a strategic plan or a business plan for a hotel or I did a lot of work with the standards of like quality assurance and different things. I was just drawn to how are we going to get people to experience this amazing property? How are we going to market ourselves to make sure that people really see that there's this there's this amazing place that you can go and you can do all of these different things. Um, and so it was one of those things that I really wanted to seek out and help and really work for and work in.
Mhm.
So my advice would be to try kind of dabble in everything, see all of the different areas, and then from there really pick what you're passionate about. Because when you're passionate about it, and I mean, I've worked crazy hours, and I I would never give it up or even say that I regret a minute of it because it's something that I love. So
Yeah.
that for me would be something I would recommend.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. You you definitely want to find a career in something that you are truly passionate about. That if you had to do it for free one day, you would. For us, and I know you probably feel the same. Coming to work is not. We don't dread coming to work. We love coming to work. We love what we do. Those that have been in this industry for a while are truly passionate about it, and we also we leave our family at home to come visit our family here at work as well. And so we've got just great people that work within our industry. And so I think that's pretty sound advice. Just letting those that are thinking about making this a career or finding a career in general, but especially in hospitality, to dabble in different departments, really feel it out. And this industry affords you the opportunity to do that. And then, determine what it is that you're really truly passionate about and that you love waking up and coming to work to do. So I appreciate you sharing that. Definitely great advice.
No, I echo that. I think that the key word there was passion, and being passionate about what we do is really what um, makes this industry so special to us, and it also is what helps people to be successful in this industry. Is if they approach it with a level of passion and care, the rest is easy. So I definitely commend you for that, and definitely thank you for sharing that. And moving on into our next question, relationship management and hospitality are at the core of what you do. Just as within operations or front of house, hospitality and genuine care are what make our industry so special. So, how would you define the word hospitality?
I would just say, I mean, I would really, I mean, I think the two things that come to my mind are people and experience. And I know that's not really a definition, so I apologize. It's just kind of
No, no,
two
that's
That's
words,
true.
but
It's
it's
true.
true. I
but
mean, it's you, like you said, Ramon. You know, like you leave your family to go to your family, and those
Mhm.
people as a coworker are your family, but it's also when you're welcoming guests, they're almost like extended family. So I think
Right.
creating that culture is really important. And
Mhm.
so it's really a people business.
Mhm.
And then that experience. So again, really the people creating that experience to show the guests what it is. So for me, hospitality is really just is that it's the people and the experience that you have with those people.
Well,
Yeah. You
I
know,
think I think you hit the nail on the head. Really, when, you talked about people, experiences, culture, and at the end of the day, it literally is that simple. It's about making sure that you genuinely care about how you interact with the people and working to create their experience. And in our industry, we see folks come to us through different or for different reasons, right? Whether it be a wedding or a special occasion or just leisure or sometimes even a reunion or a death in the family. But it's about really creating an experience that is unique to their specific needs. And in order to do that, we have to understand the people and create that experience that is unique to their specific needs. So I think that you hit the nail on the head there.
yeah, and I agree 100%. We're in the people business, and you said that we're in the relationship business as well, and that's especially thinking about your track record and our time working together. Your the ability that you had to bring guests and create loyalty and bring them to our hotel was not necessarily because of the four walls here. It wasn't necessarily because of our location or the design of the hotel. It was because of the relationship that you built with them, and that hospitality extends beyond this building, right?
Mhm.
So to your point, it's people. You were building those relationships with people well before they walked through our doors. And that takes a true skill set, and it takes again truly a person that is passionate about what they do, and you know again, I'm not exaggerating this at all. You've got a knack for that, right? In terms of building relationships and bringing people here and having them really truly love you and stay with us because they love you. And so, I definitely have to commend you for that. And I know that that wouldn't be possible if it weren't because you truly love what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, what, just switching gears here and thinking about
Hmm.
the pandemic, I think we're all going through it together. We certainly don't know what the future holds 100%, but it's been challenging in many ways, especially for our industry. It's been impacted quite significantly. But when, especially specifically with you, what's been the impact on you during this time and specifically due to the pandemic?
Absolutely. So for me, I think the hardest part of the pandemic, and I'm going to say like work wise per se, was having to furlough the team. So my
Mhm.
team, we had to furlough them. Just unfortunately, there wasn't any business and there wasn't future business that you know, we needed a team to really work and sell the hotel for.
Mhm.
And to that I still, anytime I think about that day, oh, I dreaded. That was the worst thing that I had to do because I mean, it's like telling family that you know they're on pause, they're on hold,
Yeah.
and knowing that you know their livelihood and what they rely on their job for is is kind of just paused.
Hmm.
So that is, I think in with my career that was one of the harder things that I've ever had to do. Just tell each
Yeah.
individual team member, sorry, right now we're gonna furlough you
Hmm.
until further notice, just because
Yeah.
the hotel was kind of slowly going and then um, stopped operate or suspended operation for a while.
Hmm.
Um, so that was really difficult. Um,
Yeah.
and then in terms of um, personally, and you may be hearing them in the background, and I apologize.
No, that's
Um,
life.
okay.
That is life.
that's my newborn.
Exactly. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful
So,
thing.
she's with daddy. No, but she's okay. I promise. Switching hour of a 2-month-old. But I think it really it was hard to go through, it was hard to go through this being pregnant, and then really welcoming a blessing in human life into the world at this time. You know, it was a really crazy time. I was working up until I was about 8 months pregnant. So with that, it was crazy being at work. I guess, you know, for me, like the silver lining was that I had a great team, and fortunately they took care of a lot of stuff, so I didn't have to worry about the down and dirty of it. And when they were furloughed, I got to do all the down and dirty, so I was able to really reconnect and talk to clients that I hadn't been able to speak to as often as I did. And really be creative with them to try and figure out how, you know, we could try and postpone business or what we could do to make them happy. And so that was a great opportunity that I had, kind of, I guess, working in the trenches during the situation without a team. But I mean, unfortunately, the way that the pandemic kind of rolled out, they did do some reorging at the property. So I did. I was laid off in June. So it's been a few months. But I am a busybody, fortunately or unfortunately, and I can't stay away from hotels for too long. It's in my blood, I guess. So I had the fortunate opportunity to start consulting, which I love. It's great.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You know, just going back to part of your story here, and so many people are going through the same thing. You know, furloughs are very prevalent right now throughout our industry, and that pause, so to speak, as you mentioned, is something that a lot of people are going through. And we have so many great people in our industry. What does the new normal look like when we do sort of rebound? And I'm very confident that we will, because we had so many great individuals that some are sticking with the industry, and some are deciding to do other things, which you can't blame them for, because this has gone on since the end of March, or February and March. It's certainly a challenging time, but it is interesting to hear how you've tackled it and moved to do other things with regards to consulting. And that just says a lot about you, and also your talent, because it's valuable to others, and you can contribute in other ways. So kudos to you, and certainly whoever you're consulting for is probably very fortunate. So
thank you. Yeah, it was interesting because, you know, I think it was a very interesting time in my life to kind of have that forced pause. But it was great. And, you know, reflecting on it, it made me realize, it kind of made me look at what my skill set was. What can I do? What am I passionate about? And you know, what I really wanted to focus on. And I think for a lot of people in our industry, that this time is kind of or I hope it's a time of reflection for a lot of people. And if not, hopefully they can try and maybe reflect now. But it was interesting to see how there has been so many people that I've worked with over the years that are taking, you know, different skills that they have, and how versatile they are because they're in hospitality. And I feel like that's one of the great things about people that are, you know, that are in the hospitality industry, is that you wear so many hats in a given day. You know, it's your job may be sales, but it's not like you're going to go up and help the housekeepers if you can, to make sure the room's ready for your VIP guest. You're going to, you know, run down and make sure that amenity is perfect, and, you know, make sure that they have if their children are coming and they only want green M&Ms, you're the one that's going to get on those gloves and make sure to pick out all the green M&Ms.
Right.
So I think, and maybe a silly, see, there I go on my tangent, but, I think that there's so many things that people in the hospitality industry can really utilize their skills elsewhere, that it's great for them to kind of reset and recharge during this time. And I did a lot of reflection of that on myself. And I kept on going back to how much I love hotels and how much I love what I did and what I do. So it's one of those things that sometimes I look back and I'm like, well, I love teaching as well. So I could see myself doing that, but as long as there's like that hospitality component to it. So I think I'm almost like stuck in my ways, but I'm trying to expand.
Yeah. It's interesting, and you bring up some great points. And I was having a conversation the other day, and it was about hospitality and this pandemic. And it's almost like, something for those that have worked in this industry and we're so passionate about it, we feel like something has been taken away from us, right? That ability to interact with other people and provide a service to them. And you mentioned some of those small things that happen behind the scenes, that everyone has this sense of teamwork. And again, it has a lot to do with passion for what we do, to go out and pick up, and it's a true story, right? To pick those different color M&Ms out, and check rooms and just put the fine touches on things, because we want to treat everyone who walks through the doors as if we're welcoming them into our home. And that involves so much. But the pandemic has made us feel like something has been taken away from us. And for many, it brings you to that point of reflection. And I went through a period where we closed as well. And it was a point of reflection. Okay, how do we come out? What is beyond this pandemic, and how do we rebuild even the culture that existed? Because that is at the core of our success is the culture of the property and the people that we have within it. How do you rebuild that? How do you ensure that comes back? Despite some people potentially moving on, because, as much as we would want everyone to come back from furlough, that might not happen. So you brought up a lot of great points, and I'm glad to hear that you're certainly trying to get right back in these buildings and get back to work, because we need people like you to be in our industry and continue to deliver on that passion for hospitality in general.
Let me first commend you for within what is within several months having to furlough others, be laid off yourself, and have a baby. So you are definitely the an example of what it means to be a strong individual. Definitely something I'm sure you'll reflect on in the future. And one thing that stands out to me, and I was talking to someone the other day about this, is that there's so many people in our industry that do just what you did, and you didn't stop. You literally just pivoted uh, and kept moving. And that is something that is a true example, I think, of what people in our industry do in general. I think that everyone that I've talked to in this industry is looking for something to do, looking for what's next. And Ramon mentioned it, but there's so many people that are looking to do something else right now. But eventually, at least I hope, those people, because they have a passion for hospitality, find their way back into hospitality when the time is right, because it's just in their hearts, it's just in their nature. Again, I commend you for everything that you're doing, and I'm sure it's something that requires a lot of strength and a lot of focus, and you've definitely demonstrated that. What do you feel is next for you?
That's a great question, Gary. I think I'd like to, if I had a crystal ball, and it was telling me what I wanted to hear, I would, I'd love to do something, really still on the sales side, of course, but working, with more than one hotel. I think and that's just kind of pie in the sky for me. I love being on property, because you are able to really get those extra touch points in.
Right.
But I also think, and it's interesting, when I say I've been talking to people, it's literally talking, not seeing them because of the situation. But
Right.
it's just such an interesting world, I guess, the new norm. So many people are virtual now. I think what it's done, especially for me, and I am one of those people that I really enjoy the face-to-face contact, like interaction and contact
Exactly.
with people. I
Right.
definitely have realized that I'm 100% an extrovert during this pandemic,
I
and
think
that
we
I'm
all
not.
knew that though, Ashleigh. I'm not sure why you didn't, but we knew.
I didn't know it was to the extreme of. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be in my house anymore this much longer. I was like, go crazy. Um, but it's one of those things that is really interesting, and it kind of makes you go to that next level of communication and creativity. Um, so I think with that being said, I've kind of been able to work and hone in on communication so that if I was able to do something with multiple properties, um, that having a team that wasn't necessarily, down the hall. Um,
Transitioning to one of our last questions here is, when you think about what exists today and certainly what we were before as an industry, what do you hope for the future of travel and our industry as we kind of look beyond COVID?
yeah, well, I think we're gonna rebound. I don't think it'll at all look the same, but people's priorities are really changing in travel. The company that I'm working with now, when I'm talking to clients, it's not necessarily how many upgrades can I get, or what what kind of amenities, meaning like additional amenities, not necessarily just hotel amenities, are there. It's really okay. Let's talk about the safety. Let's talk about the cleanliness. It's almost getting back to like the true
Mhm.
basics, excuse me, of hotels. Like, what is this? And then really creating that relationship so that they trust you, because at the end of the day, they're entrusting the health and well-being of their coworkers or their family members that are coming in to you. So I think it's going to come down to really like their priorities are shifting, um, and creating this comfortable. I think comfort is, and not necessarily just a comfortable bed, but the comfort and of them being able to trust in hotels is going to be a very big, and number one priority for a lot of people, guests, as well as companies. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's imperative now.
Yeah. Trust is the key word. We see it now. We're fortunate to certainly be back in business, back open. And, that's one of the things we're hearing a lot from our guests is they want to trust that we're doing the right things and keeping them safe. And by way of keeping them safe, we're keeping their families and friends safe, the people that they travel home to. And, that brings me back all the way to the point we made in the very beginning, that we're in the relationship business, we're in the people business, and that can only happen from person to person, and that's part of hospitality as a whole. And you defined it really well. But I could not agree more. We definitely, as an industry, are going to rebound from this, and it's going to take the individuals that have made our industry as successful as it's been, to make it happen again. And so, it's important to hear your story and allow, others to tell their story as well, so that our listeners can understand really what truly makes hospitality special.
And Ashley, I think you made some great points there. I echo what Ramon mentioned. And at the end of the day, we know that travel is forever changed. Hospitality or the hotel industry and what we do is forever changed. We've always focused on those things that you've mentioned with cleanliness and uh,
It would be fun and good to do, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I think you're extremely analytical. You communicate very well, in my opinion, and you're just such a go-getter and passionate about this industry. And so to have someone that's, you've been in leadership positions, obviously, but to be able to lead in a larger scale is certainly something I see that's in the cards for you. And as I mentioned earlier, there would be so many organizations that would be fortunate to have you on their team and doing just that.
focusing on guest satisfaction, but there is a heightened focus that will not obviously go away anytime soon. And the key and the great part about that is that we as an industry have all done what we needed to do to make sure that we focus on just that, really listening to the customer, ensuring that we're focused on making sure that everything is sanitized. And obviously, and we appreciate you're making the time to talk to us here. And but we want to also provide an avenue for our listeners to be able to find you. So, if our listeners were to be looking for you, can they find you social media, on LinkedIn, Instagram? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. LinkedIn and Instagram.
Well, look, I definitely want to thank you, Ashleigh. I've had the good fortune of working with you, and I've learned a little bit more than I knew just having a great conversation with you here. And really appreciate you jumping on the podcast with us, and wish you much success into the future.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. I love your podcast, so I can't wait.
All right.
I may not listen to mine just because, but
You gotta
right
listen
after
to
I'll get back right on it.